Well, hey guys, we're going to try the first video from a membership subscription type situation here. So here we got another hay squeeze conversion, and had a small cam 350 Cummins, which is sitting out there with an 18 speed 13 speed manual transmission. Get my tongue untied there. This came out of a school bus. So I started air arcing this front mount because the radiator is not going to go back where it was. This whole combination, this Allison 3000 series with the ISC, is 20 inches shorter than what was originally in it. Now I called Cummins and ordered a rear sump oil pan because actually the engine will go in, but I mean being this came out of a school bus, it's kind of got like a center sump to it. There's not really a front sump, but it's just like a center sump. It's kind of weird. I guess that's kind of weird for me. Probably guys that work on school buses all the time, that's probably normal. But usually, being as a truck or an ag mechanic, you usually see a front sump or a rear sump pan. So I ordered a rear sump pan, and I said, hey, make sure you get me a pickup tube with it. So I don't know what the situation was. They said there was no other options for pickup tubes, so which doesn't make much sense to me because Harper, hey, we don't need the barking, girly. You can play with Josie without barking, honey. Anyway, so I've got the mounts all fabricated and made. I had to make this mount goofy like this because the springs sit inside the frame rail about that far, so I had to offset it and make that special mount to get past those springs, because this engine, to get the driveline angle to where it's pretty much straight, sits down way down in the frame, way lower than that 350 Cummins. That 350 Cummins sets up a lot. It's a lot. Well, you're talking about a 14-liter displacement engine. Yeah, it's only a 350 Cummins, but it's still an 855 block. It's a 14-liter engine versus an 8.3. I mean, you're almost twice as small going with this setup. But you'll have a lot more power. And anyway, so I got the rear sump pan. I got the pan off, and yeah, that's not going to work. I mean, it hits. You can see where it hit right here. It was hitting the pan there as I bolted it up. So I Googled it, and I don't know what the heck the problem is. They're all over the internet. I should have just ordered one, I guess. But anyway, so we're kind of dead in the water there. I got the rear mounts fabric. Had the engine, had my driveline angle perfect in there. We'll have to lengthen. He wants to run his pump off the front like it originally was. So this one will be longer. I went back about 10 more inches than what the original in the 350 Cummins was sitting in there. I went back 10 inches, so I have got plenty of room. I'm pretty certain I've got plenty of room for a charge air cooler. And I mean, I still got to lengthen the back drive line too. That's how much shorter this whole combination is. So I found the part numbers, which I guess I should have just gave him the part numbers the other day, but I just get so busy sometimes I just can't seem to do it all at one time. I try to pawn some of that stuff off on some of the parts guys, but then I wind up still having to end up doing it. The next thing we're going to have to do, I'm going to try to pop this exhaust manifold loose and flip it over. Because if you guys remember, I had cut this frame on the other squeeze that I did and notched it. See, somebody notched this frame when they put that small cam, because I don't think this squeeze came with that small cam Cummins in it, because that frame was notched for the turbo, which I'm not going to be able to do that on this one, because when it's setting in there, I mean, it's way down here. I mean, it's clear down here almost by the spring hanger, so I would have to like cut half the frame out and box it, and it's just not gonna, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm thinking about unbolting the manifold here, flip it over, You know, this is offset, obviously. And that'll put that over here. And you know, that's another thing. They said they couldn't find any different manifolds. And I looked on there and I found all kinds of different manifolds for these things. So I don't know what the heck's going on. But anyway, I'm going to get an impact and we're going to zip the manifold off. These beans were dead in the water with the pickup tube because they said there was no other options, and that's nonsense. There's all kinds of options for pickup tubes. There's front sump options, there's center sump options, and there's rear sump options. So I don't quite understand what they're talking about there. But anyhow, we're gonna rip this off. I went in the other day, I pulled the fuse panel out of the bus, and that's my other idea, is I'm just gonna mount this fuse panel to the firewall. I'm gonna mount that to the firewall right there, and then the harness can plug into that just like it was, and then we can hook the J2 plug up to the ECM, and then everything else will go back into the cab for the gauges and everything. I think I'm going to have more than enough wire to do everything. I mean, I took the whole harness and I cut the harness in half about halfway down the frame rail because it's going clear up to that bus from the rear of the engine because it's a pusher and going all the way up there. I'll have to get the wiring schematic out and look at all the wire color codes and figure out where all these go. But I got the data link connector with it. So, anyway, yeah. So I guess the next thing we'll do, which we're not going to be able to do too much on this today. I really anticipated going a lot further with this because I thought, you know, well, them guys must know something that I don't, because they're telling me there's no other options on the pickup tube. Maybe the one that's in there will work, but I should have known better, being the years of experience that I've had with doing these. Yeah, there's no way that can work. So, what have we got here? 13s, I think. Where are all the sockets at? That's 14. Why is there a 14 in the 13 spot? Well, the 12's in the 13 and the 13's... Okay, there we go. Yeah, let's rip this off real quick here and go this route and see what happens, huh? Let me get my impact. I don't know what this, I wonder what these little, I'm not sure what that's all about. Kind of weird, huh? A couple of like little spacers there cast into the housing. Right. My eyesight's getting terrible. I'll have to get a pair of permanent glasses or whatever, yes. This one's got a stud on it, or not really a stud, but kind of. We'll have a different set of manifold gaskets for it too. And this may not work at all, I don't know. You know, you gotta think about where your turbo drain line, that's all gonna have to be reconfigured. The pressure line will have to be reconfigured going to the turbo. But at least this is a simple, straightforward, non-EGR engine. You don't got to worry about EGR cooler being in the way. You don't got to worry about any of that stuff. Okay, let's see what happens when we turn this manifold around. I need this angle either going, you know, square or the other way. One of the two. Okay. What do we got? Let's just stick a couple bolts in there. See where everything lines up at. Should be good enough for just kind of gauging things where we're going to be here. You know. I don't really see why that won't work. Oscar, what do you got, Bubba? Just got something stuck to your mouth? Okay. You're all dirty, bub. I really don't see why that won't work. Now, this is not that big a deal. I mean, I can always make a hose with an elbow on it. I don't see why that won't work. I really don't. I think that's going to be just fine, actually. Let's go get the turbo. Let's get the turbo and put it on there and see what it looks like, huh? And I've got all kinds of room on the top, so I'm not worried about the top at all. And I can turn this to where it's probably just vertical, and my charger cooler hose can go right in like that. Will it move at all, like right now, or? No, I have to squeeze this clamp. How about the pressure line? Let me get that. This pressure line's already got elbows on it. I mean, the whole center housing is going to be caulked, which that's all fine. I can caulk any of that stuff where I need to caulk it. That's not a problem. So we can take our center housing here. Well, we can take these bolts loose, take the pickup or the drain tube off. That way it doesn't hit the wastegate deal here. Well, I guess either that or we could just take the wastegate arm off of it and just rotate the whole thing down and get the drain on the bottom. Let's do that real quick. I think this is going to work out just fine. I don't really see a problem with this. Get a new set of manifold gaskets for it. Oh. I just want to move this kind of out of my way, was my idea, and I could just rotate and leave the drain tube. That way it's one less gasket I gotta buy. But maybe I'm going backwards, I don't know. Oh, mother. Well, let me get a screwdriver of some sort. Pop the little E-clip off there. Let's see if this will work here. Yeah, we definitely got to do something. It's got threads in these holes here. See, I think this was made to where it would mount either way. Why would they have threads in the hole? And they would have been facing right down on top of the oil cooler. I mean, yeah, the manifold was made to go either way. Okay. So now what we can do is get a end wrench, that 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter or something. I might have to pull this damn drain tube off anyway so I can access that bolt. So I might have pulled that waistguard arm off there for no reason. Let's go with, I'm thinking 13s, being it's a newer engine, probably metric. Oh! Can't get the box end on there, it won't fit between the housing and the... Man, I hate putting an open end on there like that. It's kind of sloppy, so I'm thinking 1/2 inch. I don't want to round them off. Boy, that would suck. Half inch. Let's go with the 1/2 inch route. I don't like the way that's feeling at all. Can I get the... Oh, I got the box end on there. Box end probably wouldn't go on the other one because it's the wrong size. There we go, that's way better. Getting that box end on there to get it broke loose. Boy, they don't make it easy on a guy, do they? I've had a couple of these though. Hopefully we'll see what happens here. This turbo's not very old. Josh bought this bus at the, it was an auction up here. And all that was wrong with the bus was the turbo was blown in it. I guess the bus mechanics at the Klamath County School District must have thought the turbo or the engine was blown up because they took it to the auction when it was blowing oil everywhere. Damn, I can't even get on that one. It sure didn't make these very convenient to deal with. I have to pull this back off so I can get on these other ones here. Yeah, this ain't working out. Well, let's go put it in the bumper of the service truck and see if we can get these loose. I tried doing this on that ISM that I did on that other hay squeeze and it wouldn't work. Well, I don't know how they expect you to get on that one because you can't even get the box end on that one. Isn't that nice? How the hell did they put it together? They must have put it together with an open end. Okay, they're all loose. Let's put it back on there. So far, it's not wanting to move freely. Maybe I need to loosen them up some more. I don't know. I thought I'd have them loose enough. But yeah, those should be loose enough. Beat on that tube too much. And of course it does not want to move. There she's going now. Okay, she's going now. There we go. There we go. That drain tube, that's as far as I'm going to be able to go with that. Still, that's not too bad. That ain't too bad, is it? It's actually turning out fairly good. Now, how about that pressure line? Which, I mean, even that's not too big of an ordeal because you can always make another line. It's already got 90s on both ends. Let's see here. Yeah, it ain't gonna look like that. It's gonna have to have a longer line and be looped around. That's what's gonna have to happen. It's gonna have to still have 90s on both ends, but because that ain't gonna work like that. You're gonna have to probably come like this. And then come clear around. Means it's gonna have a 90 on both ends. Those 90s, when the hose is made and crimped, it's gonna have to have those clocked the right way. Because if you had a straight on one end and a 90 on the other end, it wouldn't really matter. But being with two 90s, yeah, you gotta have them clocked right. So we need a longer line. And here's my thoughts on this right here. I think right here I'm gonna mount this. I mean, this is This is going to work exactly where it's at. My thoughts on this now. I mean, if I put a... Nah, I don't like that. I think what I'll do is just cut it right here where it's straight. Or do I just heat it and just bend this straight a little bit and just put a longer hose to come right over to that? That's easy. No problem. No problem at all right there. Okay, so that's another issue that we've got figured out. So I think what we'll do right now, folks, is let's tighten up these. The way it don't move on us, because we got it in the spot where we want it. I got to thinking, I mean, I could probably make my own pickup tube. I mean, on that pickup tube, I was thinking about that. I mean, it's just tubing. I mean, I guess a guy could cut this where it's straight, find out what size that tubing is, and weld another, just make the pipe longer and make this go back, because I was looking underneath on the block here, and you can tell that they had optional places. So here's where that brace mounts right here, and that brace would mount back here for the rear sump part of it. So I mean, you could just leave the brace right where it's at, I'm thinking. You know, here's another thing that's kind of puzzling to me, is there's no optional place for the dipstick to go on this block. That's kind of weird, huh? Most engine blocks I've ever been around always had different optional places for dipsticks to go. They had like rubber plugs or soft plugs of some kind in them. I remember distinctly like a Cat 3196 in a 95E Challenger one time, and the little plugs they had in here were leaking, and I ordered some new ones. They were optional places for different dipsticks tubes, and I distinctly remember knocking those out and replacing them, because there was like 3 or 4 of them down the length of the block there to where you could change them and put them in different applications. But I don't, God, I mean, is that dipstick gonna be hitting down in here somewhere and not be showing the correct level? Because I mean, there is no other spot in here for it. Interesting. So here's a couple other things that we're going to have to figure out. Being this was in a bus, I really wanted to use the hydraulic fan setup because I thought that was cool. My whole idea, I've always wanted to put a hydraulic fan in a hay squeeze. Okay, so what happens is these guys, when they're loading, the hay chaff will stick to the front of the grill and the radiator, and the guys will have to shut the squeeze off, the engine off, and they'll come out and brush their grill off because they'll start seeing their temperature rise up, their coolant temp. Well, I thought, you know, man, if we did a hydraulic fan and we did a diverter valve with a switch in the cab to where the operator could flip the switch, change the directional oil flow to make the span spin the other direction, and just rev the engine up and blow the chaff off, make it a pusher, you know, and then flip your switch the other way. Or you could just leave it in reverse mode when you're loading barns or whatever, and then when you're going down the highway, you could turn it the other way or it's sucking. I really wanted to use the fan setup out of a bus, but the problem is these frames on these squeezes are so narrow. I think this is like 33 inches of width from inside to inside, and that radiator that's in that bus is like 40 inches wide. So it just isn't going to work. I mean, I guess a guy could have one custom built, you know, and then incorporate the hydraulic motor that's running the fan off the bus into the new radiator you had custom built, but I don't know. This guy's in a big hurry, so anyway, so obviously we've got no fan up here, so I got to figure out a fan of some kind to go on the front of this, probably with either a viscous clutch in it more than likely, or a solid fan drive. But anyways, let's see. So we got this figured out. I was tightening those up. Where's this gonna go again? Now this wastegate arm A bunch of spacers in here. That was like this. Wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it was like that. And this will go over here like this. Why is that rubbing on there now? Oh, I think it's rubbing on there because I don't have it clocked right. Or do I have this backwards or something? What do I got going on here? My wife and her damn chickens. I gotta figure this out now. Something's just not quite sitting right or something on there, but that's all right. Anyway, we'll figure that out. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna cut this. I think about that, then I thought, you know, maybe not. Maybe I'll straighten it because it's got this ridge incorporated into the end of it to keep the hose from popping off. But it's not under pressure, it's just a drain line, so I don't really see that happening. Anyway. Let me tighten the rest of these up here. But see, this thing was made... Okay, I had to run the cackling chicken off. Let's see, where'd my wrench go? Okay, so tomorrow morning I'll call Tom and get a set of exhaust manifold gaskets. I've got the part number for the pickup tube. Tell him to order that part number, get it coming. And then we can get the pan back on it. And then we can set our engine back in there. I was kind of really hoping to get the engine set back in there today and get the fuse panel mounted. I mean, I guess I could, well, I kind of wanted to hook the harness up to the ECM on the engine and then figure out, you know, I hate to mount that fuse panel on a spot and then go, oh yeah, no, it doesn't reach or whatever, you know. I'd kind of like to, I was thinking about mounting that over there where covering up those two holes that are there. They had the battery box tray mounted to the firewall, which we're not going to be doing that either. We're going to mount that same way I did on that other hay squeeze. I'm going to take the batteries and put them back here. That is a very good spot for the batteries to be, is in there. But anyway, okay guys, well, that's what we're going to do on this one. We got this figured out, but we got to get the right pickup tube. Now that I do have a part number, I don't know what those guys were thinking. I've never seen an engine where they would tell me there's no options for other pickup tubes. So why in the hell would they make a rear sump pan for it, but not make a pickup tube for it? That doesn't make much sense to me. So anyways, all right. Thanks for watching.